Since Season 1's launch, it seems like Warzone and Cold War have both kind of had some moving parts that we haven't quite hit the bullseye on just yet. And in Warzone in particular, we've seen a few things adjusted post-integration, but thankfully it seems like one of those moving targets may actually be slowing down to the point where we're going to finally get that one hit right on the head. Today we're going to be talking about some of the changes here coming to the quality of life for Warzone and some things that are definitely long overdue when it comes to weapon builds and specifically attachments within Warzone. So as we go along, let me know your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to the fixes coming to weaponry and attachments within Warzone? And as well, if you are new to the channel, do be sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 400,000 subscribers, and we'll keep you up to date with all things Warzone, Cold War, and anything COD related. So if you're interested in joining the community, I'd love to have you. That said, let's talk about Warzone and Cold War integration. So if you've played Warzone, you probably know that there's a lot that, well, isn't what it claims to be. Attachments post Cold War integration have been a mess when it comes to pointing out what exactly is happening with each attachment for specific weapons from Cold War, with some having hidden benefits, some having literally no benefits at all. People like JGod, True Game Data, and a few others have done a phenomenal job at pointing out these to the point where for a while, they were actually the only ones we could count on in relation to communicating these things. We didn't have any official statements or any official acknowledgement from any of the developing studios on this issue. It was just something that we kind of found out by our own means of testing. As it stands, and I'm probably missing some, there are things like the fast mag attachments that don't actually speed up reloads. The rear grip attachments are bugged and don't actually speed up ADS times. Barrel attachments are bugged and don't actually do a lot, such as the task force and equivalent barrels not actually adding damage. The bullet velocity adjustments often are bugged or non-existent. Damage range adjustments are often bugged and again, maybe non-existent as well. Laser attachments don't have scaling levels of hipfire adjustments, with I think right now still the best option being the 5 milliwatt laser for hipfire spread. Then reveal distances are also bugged. Optics have a few cases. Most prominently is that of the 20x sniper scope, which has 0 sniper glint, making it nearly impossible to know where you're getting shot from, and especially at such a long range, you're likely not going to spot those players if they're hidden even remotely well with the area. Basically, every category of attachment has about one thing that doesn't check out, which now going on a month since the integration of Warzone, it's definitely something that's become problematic. So during all this time, there was no communication, no acknowledgement of anything being wrong by Raven, who is currently the lead on the developmental efforts for Warzone. For those unsure, right now, Warzone is Raven's baby. Infinity Ward is off doing their own thing for their next project, presumably Modern Warfare Roman numeral 2, a direct sequel to Modern Warfare 2019, continuing that story a little further and likely piggybacking off the mainstream success the game was. Treyarch's doing Cold War things, MP and post-launch content there. Sledgehammer's the big question mark in the equation, working on whatever they're working on behind the scenes, but Raven is working on Warzone almost exclusively. Their work with Cold War was seemingly revolving around campaign, if I'm not mistaken, and pending no crazy development in that story where we get narrative DLC, which would be really cool, they're basically done with their hand in that. Infinity Ward was primarily the figurehead last year in terms of Warzone because it was tethered with their game. Treyarch are kind of now in that position because it's the main premium title this year for Black Ops Cold War, but Raven is at the helm for Warzone when it comes to development. But while we had no official confirmation up until a point about any of these issues, we did find out recently that the official Cold War Trello board, an area which I'll leave linked down below, that keeps players up to date with issues that have been reported, that have fixes in the works, and fixes that have already been deployed, they actually mentioned Warzone specific changes. This has global issues, MP specific issues, zombie specific issues, and again that recently added category of Warzone in there, which we finally saw some acknowledgement of these issues with attachments. Now, when it comes down to what it's actually listed with, it says Cold War weapon attachments. Certain attachments are not unlocking or working as intended while in Warzone. Now, it's pretty vague. It is something that kind of covers the blanket statement of these attachments not working properly, but it doesn't give us any specific details on what will be coming here with these fixes. Though, when you take a look at the gravity of the Cold War attachments, how much is actually not working, to me, this kind of signifies that they're working on a sort of rework for the entire basis of attachments across the board, meaning that we will hopefully see in the near future these attachments that don't have any benefits granted despite saying they have them. This is something that I'm hopeful will be fixed out entirely. Maybe it is something that completely is a game changer where task force barrels are a new meta because of course you get that damage bonus that it advertises. Utilizing fast mag attachments will be able to replace that of sleight of hand attachments because it's a 2-in-1 there that you end up getting. So there's a lot of different ways this could end up going, and if it is something that covers across the board all of it, that is an absolute absolutely huge change that will have massive implications for Warzone. Right now, do I expect it to entirely change how everything plays across the board? Not really, but I do think it would open up a lot of possibilities for specific attachments to really shine as being advantageous to your weapon loadouts. Now, the big question mark comes down to, well, when is this going to happen? Because it doesn't offer any timetable here with this, and a lot of these fixes that we end up seeing happen at random times, though some are reserved for larger updates. And with this being something that is so big, I would imagine it comes as soon as possible, but I almost imagine that it's going to come in a title update. The next one of those we have scheduled is that of on the 4th for Cold War, and also potentially by extension for Warzone as well. Right now, you got to keep in mind that these are two different applications. You cross-launch from Cold War into Warzone and vice versa, but they're not the same exact game like Modern Warfare was this past year, where everything could be housed in one singular content update. So it could be something that happens earlier, it could be something that happens later, or it could be something that happens potentially even under the radar. We have seen some fixes go in regular hot fixes for this, but if we keep an eye out for those big dates that we already know we're going to get content drops and content additions for, that's something that we got to take a look at the 4th, which is then the air quote reloaded update for Cold War in Season 1. Then, of course, the 24th or the 25th, off the top of my head, I can't remember which one that is, for the launch date of Season 2, so potentially by then as well. But again, with this being something that changes the entire gravity of attachment use within Warzone, I kind of hope that it's not something that's reserved until that point, where potentially the next content update we actually get for Warzone is as of the Season 2 launch. I can't imagine that we end up seeing too much happen in relation to the 4th for Warzone, since that's a lot focused within Cold War mainly, where you end up getting a new zombies map, a new MP map, potentially league play that still hasn't been announced yet in a specific date. But with these attachment issues being something that is so relevant to how you build out weapons, I'm hoping that it's not something that's going to take another month to fix on top of where we've already been a month now into the problem. So fingers crossed. But also mentioned within Warzone's changes here coming in the near future is that of the loadout drop freezing bug. That's a big one that happens quite often here for me and my party on PC when playing Warzone. Perhaps you've run into that as well, but that should be fixed out along with these attachment issues whenever that ends up happening. So those are the two things that right now are on the public Trello board here for this. I'm assuming that Raven has a ton of things behind the scenes they're working on as well in terms of stability, hopefully more content additions as well. I'd love to see some new stuff added into Verdansk and into Warzone, but for the time being, that's where we're at here at this. But absolutely a huge issue that we've had now for over a month that looks to be getting fixed out relatively soon. So that's where we're going to wrap it up. Just want to fill you guys in on that, let you know of some of the changes coming in the near future. So let me know your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to these changes being made here so that attachments actually do what they tell you they will? Are you hoping it's sooner rather than later? Or maybe you don't want to see these changes at all. Maybe you like the chaos of it all. Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, Cold War, and anything COD related. We'll keep you up to date with all of it. So if you're interested, make sure that subscribe button. If you also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. If you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.